everybody, welcome back to Old Timer Noob Plays. Today we'll be continuing on with GMT's Panzer, the base game, scenario number 4, the village part 2, and we'll be starting turn number 4. Before I get started, there are a few things I'd like to bring to your attention once again. Since I was able to find this updated sequence of play on the GMT website, I'm going to use this instead of the in-game sequence of play, because this one seems to be a little bit out of date. In the last video, I mentioned brew-up smoke, but I said something that wasn't 100% accurate. When this brew-up took place in this hex, I said that the effects of the brew-up smoke wouldn't take hold until the following turn. In reality, the effects of the brew-up smoke take hold in the following step. So since this brew-up occurred during the direct fire combat step, then the brew-up smoke would actually take effect in the movement phase, which would be the next step, either in the close assault step, if there was one, or in the movement step. So it's not the next turn, it's the next step. I know I made a notation during the video last time that the vehicles under these knockout and brew-up counters should have been removed, so I went ahead and removed them and just left the wreck counters behind. And also, I received some very good feedback in the last video, and I want to bring some of those things to your attention. One of my goals of presenting these videos to you is not really to make it a tutorial, but nonetheless, I'd like for it to be as accurate and correct as possible. So I appreciate any positive feedback or any note of oversights or mistake that I've made so that I can correct it and present it to you. Thanks. So if you watched my last video, you know that I used this mortar incorrectly. I made note of that, but I went ahead and fired it as an example. So even though that wasn't a legal use according to the rules, I'm going to go ahead and leave this unit as having fired with small arms fire. And I'd also like to point out that anytime you have leg being transported, the spot move or spot fire marker doesn't actually go on the infantry unit, it goes on the truck because the passengers are not spotted separately from the transport. So the small arms spot fire counter here is actually for the truck, even though it was the unit in the truck that fired. Also, when I was doing the example of fire, I did ammo limits in this mortar using this number right here, and the fire actually failed because he rolled higher than that. However, in the rules regarding crew-served weapons, some crew-served weapons, and all towed units, they all have ammo limits, including limits on their basic ammo. However, unique conditions apply to the limits on their basic ammo. These units have unlimited basic ammo as long as their transporting vehicle unit is within 1 hex of the tow unit or leg crew-served weapons. So in other words, this mortar should have been dismounted when he fired, but he would have been dismounted in the same hex as his truck. As long as that truck is within 1 hex of him, his ammo supply is unlimited, so there would be no need to check for an ammo limit. Now, if the truck moved away, or if the mortar moved away from the truck, more than 1 hex distance, then you would have to check for this ammo limit. Another mistake that I made is that at one point during the direct fire step, I had these German tanks on this hill fire at these tanks, the Soviet tanks over here. And then later in the same turn, I had this German tank fire on this Soviet tank as over the short halt command. The rules say, however, that all fire on a single opposing vehicle must be announced before any fire is resolved. So I should have said when these guys were firing that this tank was also going to fire at the same unit. Later in the scenario, I conducted some overwatch fire from these Soviet tanks to this Stug on the hill. And I made note that these vehicles would be firing outside their field of fire, so there would be an overwatch modifier. What I didn't realize is that the 2 overwatch modifiers are cumulative, so I should have applied both of them instead of just this -3 modifier. And that's specified right here in the AP hit modifiers rule. All AP hit modifiers are cumulative and together are called a net modifier. And the last thing I wanted to mention and bring to your attention is that if you saw the last video, you know that I agonize a little bit about what to do with these trucks carrying infantry. They started in this hex, and I ultimately concluded that they could only go this far because they had to pass through my friendly units, and therefore they would be able to use their road rate. Well, that was wrong. I think I had actually mentioned this, and it might have been my first video. I just forgot that I had gone over it, but it specifically says here that a friendly vehicle located in a path or road hex does not stop a vehicle from using its path or road movement factor unless the hex is overstacked. So I would have to move these guys one at a time because I have 3 units here and there are 3 units in this stack. Yeah, it's just 3. So they would have been able to move through here and continued on at their road rate of 12 instead of the actual 4 that I moved them at. So I think that's everything I wanted to bring to light right now. And once again, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much. It helps me learn the game better. And I want to make sure that when I present it to you, even though it's not really a tutorial, I want to make sure that it's presented correctly and accurately. All right, so I think now we're ready to actually start turn number 4. Here we are, turn number 4. Start with the spotting phase. Who can see who? The Stug on the hill can still see them, and he can see them. So they're seen to each other. These guys can see each other. Everybody here can see each other. Everybody on this side. Panzer V's, they're visible from the hill here also. I'm wondering if I should have used some smoke last turn before I move these guys over here. Too late now. All right, these guys cannot see the Panzer V's on the hill over here, and neither can these guys. Who can see them? They're visible from here. The infantry units can see them. I don't think they can be seen from here. Nope. They can see the German infantry. As can they. So the only people who, well, everybody can be seen, I think. Yes, everybody can be seen. All right. So the next thing is the command phase. I'll roll for both. The lower number places their commands first. Germans 4, Soviets 1. So the Soviets place their commands first. I know I want this group of tanks here to move up on the hill. They'll be moving for certain. These T-34s. I think I would like for them to fire on the half-tracks over here. Oh, and by the way, I made a notation. The Germans have 16 units remaining, so they get 9 commands, and the Soviets have 15 units, and they also get 9 commands. So that's 2. I think on the hill here, I would like to have my, well, maybe both of them fire at the Panzer V's. There's one Panzer V. I will have the Su-100 fire at the Panzer V. And then I will have the T-34 fire at the Stug. No, I'll have him fire over here at this damaged Panzer IV. Su-100 firing the Panzer V, the T-34 firing at the damaged Panzer IV. This T-34 is going to be firing at one of those half tracks. And the other two are going to go into Overwatch. How many commands is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. I'm going to have this top guy here fire. And he's going to be firing at the Stug on the hill. And the other two are going to move. And that'll be 9 commands total. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, that's it for the Soviets. Now for the Germans. For my Panzer V here, I think I'll give him a fire command. And I have 2 Panzer IVs in here. So you know what? Let me scratch that. I'm going to give the Panzer V a move command. And the 2 Panzer IVs are going to get a fire command. They're going to shoot up here. All right, that's 1, 2. These guys are going to move. That's 3. All right, I'm going to give this top Panzer V a move command. All right, I'm going to give the bottom 2 Panzer Vs a move command. I don't know how smart this is. I guess the future will tell. They're going to go somewhere else. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 4 commands to go. I still will get a fire command. And remember that fire priority rules are in effect. And my 3 Panzer IVs will also be firing over here. There's a lot of firepower coming this way. Okay. Actually, I'm not sure that the Stug has to fire at this guy because fire priority. A vehicle with a fire or short haul command must fire at the closest opposing vehicle combat unit unless it's already engaged by another vehicle from the same formation. Well, didn't the Soviets in the last turn fire at the Stug from over here? So I guess that means he doesn't have to fire at the closest combat unit. He can fire at this guy because they have already engaged him. That's how I interpret that. So how many commands will we get to now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think that's all the German units. So next step, Initiative phase. I will roll for both sides, and the side with the highest initiative will be the first player. For the Germans, 60. For the Soviets, 52. So the Germans will be the first player for turn 4. This could be really ugly. This might end up being a much shorter scenario than the allowed 15 turns. So I guess we'll start over here with the Stug. He's actually going to be firing at this T-34 way down here. What's the range? So for the Stug, that is medium range, with an AP factor of 19. What do we have for modifiers? Target size, I believe the T-34s are just normal sized, right? T-34, M44, size 0, okay. So the target is not moving, the target is not in cover, not short halt, the shooter is not damaged. He does have track damage, but that doesn't count as damage for the purpose of this table. He's not suppressed, he's not broken or on fire, he's not shooting through group smoke. We can check ammo limit. No ammo limit. Basic AP. So it's just going to be a straight roll on the medium column. I'm going to do my rolls a little bit differently. I'm going to roll to hit, and at the same time I'm going to roll my 2 D10s for variable penetration. The hit was 51, that's a miss. You needed a 50 or less. So we can get rid of this, and we can mark him spot fired. He's already marked spot fired. Okay. Now for my tanks on the hill over here, I have 3 Panzer IVs. And I think I said the damaged guy is going to fire at the damaged Su-100. And the bottom 2 guys are going to fire at the bottom Soviet tank. So the range is 5 for Panzer IV. That's short range with an AP factor of 22. Do we have any modifiers? Target size, see the Su-100 is size 0. Okay. Target is not moving, he's not in cover. We're not doing short halt. The shooter is damaged. He is damaged, so that is -3. He's not shooting through blue smoke. Ammo limits. No ammo limit. Alright, so it's just the short range column with a -3. So he needs a 49 or less. So same thing, I'll roll my 2 hit die and 2 die for variable penetration. Rolled an 82, that's a miss. And we can mark him spot fired, you know where he is. Alright, now the bottom 2 tanks. So the Panzer IV, the first Panzer IV fired at the Su-100, and the bottom Panzer IVs are firing at the T-34 in the same hex as the Su-100. And they can split their targets that way because the targets are within command range of each other. Command range is 1. Alright, so for the Panzer IVs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, range of 5. Short range 22. Target size is normal. It's a T-34. Target's not moving, not in cover. Shooter's not damaged. It's not suppressed. No group smoke. No Overwatch, no ammo limit. Right, so we're in the short range column. Here's 2 hit and variable penetration. Got a 50. We needed a 70 or less, so that is the hit. Variable penetration with an AP factor of 22. Rolled a 9 and a 1. So 1 is a -3. 9 is a +2, so -1. So you have a net AP modifier of 21. All right. Now I'm also going to do something different from yesterday. I'm going to do what the book says. I'm just going to roll the D100, and the 100's value will be the location, and the 10's value will be the damage. So we're shooting at the front side of this tank. So it'll be here. Location will be 3. That's turret side. And the damage is a 9. I already know what that means. That is a brew up. So the T-34, let's see, I'll put him over here in the cemetery. So that can go away. We can place a brew up marker in the hex. Put it on the bottom there. And since there was a brew up in the hex, now the SU-100 is going to be suppressed. Let me see. There we go. Okay. All right. Is anybody else firing? The Germans. Yes. These 2 Panzer IVs are going to fire at the SU-100. Okay. So we have 2 Panzer IVs. What's the distance? Here to here. 8. That's medium range with an AP factor of 19. Modifiers. Target size. Small. Target's not moving. Not in cover. Not short halt. The shooter's not damaged. The shooter's not suppressed. I believe we have an instance of brew up smoke here. -2. No ammo limit. Alright, so we're at medium range, -2. We need a 40 or less. That's a miss. And now for the second tank. 45, also a miss. The Soviets got lucky on that one, that's for sure. Alright, so these guys here, spot fire. Spot fire. We can get rid of that marker. And I think that's all the fire for the Germans. So now, of course, comes direct fire for the second player, the Soviets. Now here's a question for the audience. Tell me what you think about this. Right, we just had the Panzer IVs over here engage the Su-100. Right, and then you also know that in the fire priority rules, it says a vehicle with a fire or short halt command must fire at the closest opposing vehicle combat unit unless it's already engaged by another vehicle. But does that leave open the possibility that he can still shoot at the closest target if he wants to? He must unless he's already engaged. So I could possibly fire at the one I'm engaged with, or I could fire at the closest vehicle. What do you think? Because I did it the other way before with these guys, or with him. I fired at the closest vehicle. So what do you think? What's the best way to interpret this? All right, if I say this is open to interpretation, then I'm going to go ahead and fire at the closest unit, which would be one of these guys over here. Am I doing that right? Tell me what you think in the comments, please. All right, so it's Su-100 firing at a Panzer IV at a range of 5. That's short range with an AP factor of 39. This won't be easy though. Target size, what is the Stug? -1. Target's not moving. He's not in cover. The shooter is damaged. That's -3 for a total of -4. The shooter is suppressed. It's -5 for a total of -9. No group smoke. I'll check ammo limits. He's okay there. So it's -9 on the medium column. Well, stranger things have happened. He needs a 5 or less. 41, that's a miss. And I think he's already marked. Yes. Oh, there is group smoke. So it wouldn't matter. He missed anyway. There's group smoke here. But the group smoke doesn't count yet. Not this one. This group smoke doesn't count because we're in the same step. Okay, who else is firing? I've got this guy down here. So the closest combat unit. I don't think it's going to be this guy anymore. That's 13. That's 9. Half tracks are at 9. All right, well, I guess it's going to be the half track then. T-34. Firing at a range of 9. That's medium range with an AP factor of 20. Target size is a half track. -1. target is moving. -2. It's -3. Non-cover. No burp smoke. No Overwatch. Ammo limit. Nope. So it's just -3. So medium range, -3. 35 or less is what we need. Shooting at the top half track. That's a miss. Right, so that can go away. And now this T-34 here is also going to fire at the half tracks, but he's going to fire at the middle half track. There's the closest combat unit. Range of 7. Short range, AP factor of 23. Target size -1, target moving -2, that's total -3. No ammo limit. Short range, -3. 49 or less. 92, that's a miss. And the marking's not fired. I'll put him on the bottom. I'll put this guy on the bottom too. Alright, now it's time for movement phase. The second player moves first. That would be the Soviets. Right, so this guy here is going to move into the rough hex on the level of the hill. I'm going to move my mortar over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Spot moved. So this can go away. And he's a truck, so I guess it doesn't really matter if I turn him a different direction or not. He gets one free move. It's a truck. How much more protection will he get turning one hex side? Alright, so I've got this guy. He has a road movement rate of 8, but he can't go that far because the Germans are on the road, so that would negate the path movement for him, or the road movement. And then he'd be all by himself and they could assault him. So what I'm going to do is take him and move him over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to try something really aggressive here. This is something I've never done before, so I'm going to have to read up on it a little bit. I'll be pausing here and there. But I think my plan is going to be to take these 3 infantry squads and move them down the road to here, dismount, and conduct a close assault. I think I can do that. So let me go investigate, and I'll be back. Okay, so step by step, here's what I'm seeing. While close assaults take place during the movement phase, they do not trigger Overwatch fire unless the attacking unit is executing an advancing attack, which I'm not. Here we go. Passenger-led units may dismount and then immediately close assault an adjacent unit. So I gotta take a look at these dismounting rules here. Okay, Passengers dismounting unsuppressed squads, half squads, and sections without attached weapons are placed adjacent to or in the same hex with the transporting vehicle. They're going to go into the adjacent hex because we're doing the close assault. They may not dismount off map. Suppressed squads, that's not that. All passenger units expend their entire movement speed allowance dismounting. They're marked with a spot move counter. They may face in any direction. If marked with a move or short halt command, vehicles expend 1/2 of their available movement speed allowance, round down, mounting or dismounting any number of passengers. Process of mounting or dismounting passengers may take place anytime during a vehicle's move as long as it has the requisite movement speed allowance. The vehicle may mount or dismount units and then move. It may move and then mount, dismount units, or it may move, mount, dismount units, and then continue moving. All right, so I know it's going to take me half of my movement allowance. And I have an allowance of 12 on the road. It's going to cost me 6 to dismount, so I can only move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that will leave me 1 movement point left over at the end that I don't think I'm going to use. All right, I have no idea if this is even technically sound, but I'm going to do it because it's a learning experience. So here we go. We have a move command. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All my infantry are going to dismount. And then I want to take them and put them at the top because, no, leave on the bottom because that shows they're dismounted. Okay, and then passenger leg units may dismount and then immediately close assault an adjacent unit. They may not combine their attack with any other units in the hex. This special form of close combat action takes place during the movement step. We already said that. Along with normal movement, not during the close assault, hand-to-hand combat step. The movement of the transporting vehicle unit may trigger overwatch fire, but once the leg units dismount, overwatch fire may not be taken, and there isn't any overwatch fire anyway. Okay, so these guys should have dismounted into the adjacent hex, and they should all be moved to the spot move counter, and they are. Well, I guess it's important to know before we start doing this resolution that this close assault combat is a form of combat where leg units attack vehicles. So what's going to happen now is my 3 Soviet infantry squads, they should all be in here. They're attacking the vehicles, not the infantry units in this hex. And because it's a close assault, we're going to use the GP combat table, but the attacking GP factor is going to be determined by the size of the primary unit attacking. So they're all squads. And it says here, all leg units use the common GP factors. For a squad, it's 8. So if you look at this table, those numbers are highlighted for squad, a half squad, and section. So this is going to be the attacking GP factor. And then we have to look at the half track and see what his GP defense is. 1P. So it's a 1. It's a P-type vehicle. So the next thing is we have to look at modifiers for close assaults. So right here. Not going uphill. This is a dismount attack, so it's -10. Versus a moving vehicle. Yes, they do have a move command. Germans do. So that's another -10. It's -20. Do we have a C modifier? No. this does not count as an unsupported hex. It's not one of the qualifying hexes. Versus a P-type vehicle plus 20, so that offsets these two. So back to 0. Don't have a flamethrower. Alright, so it's just going to be an even roll. And we have an attacking GP factor of 8. And a defending GP factor of 1. So I'm looking at a roll greater than 22, but less than or equal to 54. Alright, so let's roll and see what we get. 67. That would be effective. Let me see what that means. Okay, with close assault combats, effective results yield damage, track, knockout, or brew up, regardless of target vehicle unit's target type. All the rules of 5s and 10s for vehicle GP fire to determine damage or track hits. Alright, so we didn't roll a number that ends in 5 or 10, so this isn't going to apply. If the final modified result does not end in a 5 or 10, the vehicle is knocked out or brewed up. If the close assault included flamethrower, it doesn't. The vehicle automatically brews up. Otherwise, the attacker rolls a d10. If the result is equal to or less than half of the primary unit's GP factor, which would be 4 in this case, if it's equal to or less, the vehicle brews up. Otherwise, the vehicle is knocked out. And passenger units must attempt to bail out. Alright, so remember 0 is a 10 in this game, so it's not going to be a brew up, it's going to be a knockout. So the first half track is knocked out. Alright, so let's check out the bailout table. This is knocked out. Alright, so it's going to be here, knocked out. Transporter unit eliminated, bailout failed. So we have to roll 21 or greater to successfully bail out. Let's try it. They did. Alright, so that first German squad has bailed out successfully. But the half track was eliminated. So let me get rid of this first half track here. And then we have to place a knockout counter in the hex. So I'll put that on the bottom for now. Alright, so now we have to do the same thing with the remaining 2 squads. Go back over here. It's 8 attacking GP factor, 1 defensive GP factor, and there's no modifiers. So we're looking for 54 or less, but greater than 22 for the second squad. That's a no effect. Same for the third one. 30. That one is a suppression. Alright, so that's going to be the guy in the bottom here. So one was eliminated, one suffered no damage, and one was suppressed. And since there are still enemy units left, then the Soviet units have to return back to the hex they came from, but they're going to be dismounted now. Alright, so these 3 guys are going to come back into here, but they're going to end up on the bottom of the stack. And they're marked with a spot move counter. Alright, and the trucks have moved, so that's it for them. All right, I think I did that right. I'm not sure that's the first time I've done that. I was just reading what the book says. If I did something wrong, let me know. Otherwise, we'll go with it. All right, real quick, let me check the transport capacity of half track. It's a 2. And the squad is also 2. So each half track can carry one squad, so they can't double up. So one squad is going to be on foot for the remainder. All right, continuing with the movement segment for the Soviets. I'm sorry, for the, oh yeah, the Soviets. I think that's everybody. Okay, so that was the close combat step, or the close assault, I mean. And the Germans aren't planning close assault, they're going to move into town. So now comes the movement step, starting with the second player, that would be the Germans. Okay, so for the Germans, we'll start over here, this Panzer 5. He has a movement allowance of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll face in that direction. Get rid of that. This Panzer 5 is going to back up into the rough. Can you do that? Yes, you can. Because a vehicle may always move just 1 hex during its move if it has move or short halt commands, even if the cost of moving 1 hex exceeds the vehicle's available movement speed allowance. This exception also applies to reverse moves. Now, when you're moving in reverse, you only get half your movement allowance. Right? So you'd only be able to move 2 movement points. But since it says that this also applies to reverse moves, then he can move 1 hex going backwards, and he's good to go. That terrain is rough, which would have cost him, what is it? Rough would cost him 4 movement points. He only had 2 going backwards. So that's a legal move. He can move there. All right. All right. I'm going to move these guys up to here. Now they're changing elevation by 2. They can do that. That's the maximum. Just going 1 hex. And let me see if these units can see them in Overwatch. It appears so because we have a continuous slope. So this T-34 is going to take a shot at the top, Panzer 5. So let's see what we have here. At a range of 3. T-34. Point blank range with an AP factor of 26. So run the P column. Target size, where did I forget this? +1. All right, +1. The target is moving. It's a -2 for a net -1. Not in cover. We are in Overwatch. We are shooting through our field of fire. So it's just a -1. So total -2 now. Ammo limit? Nope. So -2. All right, in the point blank column, -2. So we're looking for 72 or less. That's a hit. And then we have a 0 and a 1. 1 is -3, that's 23. And 10 is +3, back to 26. All right. So now we roll for location damage. We're doing the rear side. I think that's where the German wants it. Let's see. So rising shot. Rear, yeah, rear side. Okay. 2, rear side is the turret side. Rising shot, turret side is a 12. That's definitely a penetration. And for damage, knockout. So this guy gets to go over here. This goes away. And this guy gets marked spot fire. Now this suppressed guy is carrying an infantry unit, and he probably wants to dismount them, in which case it would cost him half his movement allowance. Now, I'm pretty sure that means half of his total allowance would be 6, and not half of his suppressed allowance. So I'm going to say he cannot move just 3 hexes and then dismount his infantry. But he does have a path movement rate of 6 while he's suppressed. So I'm going to go ahead and move him. That might work out okay because I can take them and just go 1, 2, and put them in here. So that goes away. That remains there. Okay, and I think that is all the movement for the Germans. All right, everybody's down. Right, that brings us to here, no air phase, adjustment phase, pivot step, adjust turret, adjust full cover. I think we're going to do that. So my German infantry squad here. So first I want to show you this. Leg units in building hexes automatically occupy the buildings. There's no need to mark them with a location counter. They receive the cover provided by the building terrain type. So they're in a wooden building. Remember, vehicles, when they enter a building hex, they're in the alley. They're not in the buildings. Infantry, on the other hand, according to this, as soon as they enter a woods hex or a building hex, they're automatically in the building. Leg and towed units may freely enter into or move out of full cover, regardless of their orders, during the adjust full cover step of the adjustment phase, which is where we are right now. We need to mark these guys with a full cover marker. I just have to figure out where it is. Let's see. Markers. Full cover. There we go. And we'll just put it right on top of them like that. They're in the buildings and they're in full cover. Beautiful. Okay. What's next? Adjust, remove suppressions step. All right, so this guy is going to go to suppression off. Anybody else suppressed? Yes. Suppression off. Anybody else? I think that's it. Okay. adjust remove morale counters, adjust remove counters, command counters, that is. So we'll do that. That's what we take care of. And then the last thing will be the end turn step. All right, so that is the end of turn 4. Hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes. I'm sure I made some somewhere along the way, but I'm counting on you to let me know where I can improve my gameplay. Not just rules-wise, but tactically and or strategically. Give me your thoughts, please. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time around. Bye.